Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Lovely Cat Podcast. I know we haven't been on here in a while, so we're going to start back doing this. I also have my co-host as well, Deontay. Today we will be discussing a topic called surviving losses. So here's Deontay. I'm going to let him go ahead and share his story.
Thank you, lovely cat. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Deontay Payne. Um, Today I basically want to talk about surviving losses. See, the thing about surviving losses is that we face losses. Losses we face are things like losing a job, losing a companion partner, or more importantly, losing a loved one. I'm pretty much just going to speak in all three areas, and pretty much hopefully everyone gets the message that I pretty much have to deliver out to the public. First off, we're going to start off with losing relationships. First off, you never really lost. You never really lost anything. If anything, you've gained something from by the person walking away or leaving you behind. Because if a person walk away, it just goes to show you that the relationship was never for you in the first place. And the majority of the people who get caught up in mess like this are usually those who are basically trying to fix something that doesn't belong to them. There's been plenty of relationships where the person has let it be known and very clear and of all the signs that they were not the ones to be with, but yet the person who's basically sitting up here trying to hold the relationship together is holding the wrong person on to them. If you've done all that you could and the person still continues to walk away, or the person still continues to not act in your favor, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It only means that they're just a bad match for you. That's all there is to it. And if they just so happens to end up getting removed out of your life, then please understand that that's just God letting it be known and clear that that was not the right partner for you. God himself basically is the one who's separating these type of relationships. And by you holding on exactly to that type of relationship, it just makes you just as toxic as the person that you're trying to keep. That's a road that you definitely don't want to go down. That road once before. But I end up learning from my lesson in regards to that one. So moving on to losses in regards of a job. First off, every job that I have ever been to in almost the last 4 or 5 years now has basically been the exact same way. You go in, you learn the job that you're supposed to learn. The people that pulled you in is acting pretty much friendly as long as you're doing the job correctly. But then eventually, at some point in time of the job, you just so happens to end up doing a job to the best of your ability still, and yet the same people who's basically been giving you praise at the very beginning for doing the job that you were doing suddenly becomes the biggest a-holes that you could possibly know. Now, if you Joe happens to end up coming across this situation face to face, then just know the first thing you should never do is question your ability to the job. If you've been going in there pulling big numbers up for the company since day one and it has not changed, and the only thing that has changed is their attitude, then the last person you need to question about anything is yourself. Your abilities remain the same. Your good heart and your good character still remains the same. If you're basically face to face with a situation like this, then therefore just pretty much continue to do your job, but remember exactly what you came there for. You didn't come there to basically please anybody else. You didn't come there to make yourself golden for anybody else. You came there to basically make money. You came there to do the job to the best of your ability so that you can go to the next level on with your next life. And if you just so happens to end up getting fired from a job that you've basically given your everything to, then just know two things. God has already got something in store for you, for one. And second, don't ever, and I mean ever, second guess your abilities that you put into the place. Because I know that's the first thing that comes to people's minds when they get let go from a job, especially after giving a job 120% of the effort. Don't ever put yourself in that predicament. You went, you gave it 120%, you gave it your best wasn't good enough to them, you move on with it. You move on with it, you take the experience from them, and thank God and them for the experience. That's basically how you handle that situation. And last but not least, dealing with the loss of a loved one. To those of you who don't know, I had just recently lost my grandmother of almost 2 weeks now. And it pretty much goes like this. When you're face to face with that loss, you are never prepared for such a loss. Never. I pretty much knew the day was coming, but I just didn't know when. And once it shows up, it shows up. And your natural reaction is just to react to the loss that you just had. And you're going to have to grieve. You're going to have to grieve. You're going to have to get it off your chest. You're going to have to get it off your system. You got to get that out. Because if you don't, the only thing that you'll end up doing is keeping all that emotion bottled up inside of you to a point to where it basically bursts out in the wrong way. So, with that basically being said, it's okay to grieve, but it's never okay to stay in that same spot. It's never okay to use that pain and that hurt to take out on everyone else. Because more specifically, when you end up doing that, the only thing that you end up doing is end up spreading that exact same emotion on the inside of your system to someone else's. You don't want to spread darkness. You basically want to spread the light. Now, the light that you could spread is everything that they have ever shown you and everything that they have ever taught you in order to keep their legacies going. That's basically how you keep the light going. And you do that with love. The same love that they've given to you is the same love that you should give to others. Now, I've also just had an experience just recently that I'm not going to speak about. But to relate to it, I'm not telling you to basically kiss anybody's butt, nor am I telling you to basically just deal with lowlifes who refuse to pull their lives and self together. More specifically, I'm telling you to go after the people who want the same thing that you want to come together, want to love, want to basically go to higher grounds, and want to do better. That's the love and that's the energy that we basically want to spread out. We want to spread out what God had basically installed inside of us, which is the love. So we can just continue to spread the love, then everything will be just fine in the end. But going back into losses, because I know I kind of slipped off topic for a second. Regardless of dealing to a loss of a loved ones, short term, we grieve. It's natural. There's no escaping it. We are going to grieve. But in the midst of this grieving, we're going to need love. We're going to need support in the short term. Once it becomes long term, when we step into the long term phase, it is very, very important that we take everything that our loved one has ever taught us and the love that our loved ones has ever shown us, and we take what they gave to us and we spread that out. We spread out their legacy with love and support. We do this, then pretty much we're honoring the love and the support and everything that they've ever given us. We're showing respect to it. We're showing love, respect to it. And as we continue to do that right down the line, it's a healing process. Of course, I'm not saying that we're going to get over it, but it's a healing process to a point to where we don't go anywhere near negative when it comes to this stuff. Negative like holding on to the pain and hurt and using that as an excuse to be a victim. Using that as an excuse to pretty much just do what you want. Because you have people out there that does that. They use the pain and stuff for those type of things. That's inexcusable. As understandable as it is, it's very inexcusable for you to use your pain and hurt to basically throw onto somebody else's plate. That was not what a loss was meant for. A loss was basically meant for us to take what we learned from the lost one and to spread that love. That's basically what it was originally meant for. Because to be honest, ever since 2019 has got started, this is the most amount of losses that I've ever seen, period, in my entire life, in a single monthly period. The biggest amount of losses that I've seen. I've lost my grandmother. My little brother had lost his grandmother. My homeboy had lost his father. A female friend of mine, she had basically just ended up losing some cousins recently to to that cold weather we just had got finished experiencing because of that carbon monoxide that I was warning people about. It's a lot of losses. And with all these losses that we basically are dealing with, we have no room to be sitting up here hating each other like this. We need to continue to spread the love as they will want the love to spread. Because that's pretty much what this year is all about. Now, speaking about losses overall in all three areas, in order to recover from these losses, we have got to understand that even the Bible makes it very clear that wherever there's a loss, there's a gain. And there's a scripture that speaks on that one. And that scripture is not lying about this. What that basically means is that somewhere along this year, we have a gain. But in order for us to get these blessings that we got in store for us, we have got to remove anything that's standing in the way in it. Whether that's the pain, the anger, anything that basically comes out as a negative results in regards to these losses, we have to get rid of them. Or we cannot allow them within our circles. Because I know this year is starting off strong, but of course we all know, anyone who knows God knows that God's power works greatest in the darkest places. And I know to most people in the month of January of 2019, it started off pretty strong. So, with that being said, I urge you, I beg of you, to hold your faith together, to know that there's something stronger coming along the way, to know that there's a bigger blessing coming along the way. Because the blessings are coming. But if you had not gotten rid of the wrong things to make sure that you receive this blessing, then all those losses would definitely been for nothing. All losses alike. So, that's basically all I have to say in regards of recovering from losses. Just remember to keep the faith. Know that God's got something very big planned coming up ahead. And if you do not get rid of the negative energy and the negative people from around your circle, or your negative thinking, or your negative emotions, then those negative things that I just had mentioned are going to be the things that block you from the blessings that you got coming. I mean, if you don't care about getting your blessings, then please just stay out of the way. Stay out of the way of other people who are trying to get their blessings. Because not everyone want to stay stuck in the same circle as they did in 2018. Now, pretty much with all that being mentioned, that's pretty much all I got to have to say. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, my page and Cat page is available. Our inboxes are available if you feel like you want to talk about anything. With that being said, we love you guys. And Cat, you're up.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say this one thing before we close out. I just want to say this year healing is on the way, restoration is on the way. So I know that everybody who's going through hard times right now, just keep your head up, stay in faith. God got this. All right, I just want to thank y'all for tuning in. Lovely Cat Podcast.